Carrying a body is very, very heavy. When you find somewhere you want to dump a body, you don't dump it, I don't know, tell I'll go here, I've never been there before. They don't. They go to places they know best, but they believe no one knows where they are.
I'm Ashlea Hansen. This is episode 3 of Dear Rachelle, a podcast by True Crime Australia. Mick Ashwood spent the best part of 3 decades hunting criminals. He's taking us into the mindset of a killer and what he's learned about how they cover their tracks.
They go through a change. They become depressed and scared of being identified. So where they place the body, there's so much into that. So if you don't know what to do when you've killed someone the first time, you don't know where to dump the body, you don't know how to protect yourself. What you want to do is place yourself as far away from the victim as you can, put them in a spot that's a long way from where anyone saw you. And these are subconscious drives in people's heads. They don't care about the victim. You've got to factor that in. Is this person a criminal psychopath? Because they have no empathy. They feel sorry for themselves if they get caught. That's it. They then modify their behaviour so they don't get caught next time. Or if it was a close call, they move the bodies. Because someone like Ivan Milat, bodies tend to get closer to where the person lives as they get more confident with time. On this case, still don't know if it was done on their own, but because of the failings at the beginning of the investigation, that may never be known.
This is someone's life who got ripped away from them, who got completely ripped off. And she was so special and she would have done so many beautiful things. And she did. And she was so special to so many people. Yeah, I just want everyone to know that she was one of the good ones. She didn't deserve it. She was in the prime of her life. She was having fun. She really cared about the people around her. We just all got ripped off, and her especially. I don't know whether she knew what was happening to her or what was going to happen. I don't know how long she suffered for. I don't know how scared she was. I'm never going to know that. That's haunting.
This is the untold story of Rachelle Childs, a 23-year-old who was brutally murdered. Her killer has never been caught. To understand the motivation and mind of Rachelle's killer, detectives need to collect and examine all the available evidence. Let's recap. There's a 9-hour gap in Rachelle's movements that's troubling detectives. Her last confirmed sighting was leaving Camden Holden on Thursday the 7th of June, just after 5 p.m. 9 hours later, her burning body was found 100 kilometres away at 7 Mile Beach in the early hours of Friday morning. The location is linked to another woman's unsolved murder, fueling suspicion a serial killer is targeting women. Police say they found no evidence of a struggle or forced entry at Rachelle's home in Bargo. Meanwhile, her abandoned car turns up at the Bargo Hotel, leaving her family and investigators wondering who she was meeting and why. Let's return to 7 Mile Beach. Every time I go back there, I learn something new. This trip, I'm heading there with cold case expert, retired New South Wales Detective Sergeant Damian Loone. He's been poring over the brief of evidence for months, and I'm looking forward to his insights.
What does it feel like being here for the first time?
You'll notice that I've got the hands in my pocket. It's just out of my... Always good for me to, when I was a police officer, to go to the scene of the crime. And you'd never know she was here. There's no RIP, there's no flowers planted here, there's no area hasn't been touched. You wouldn't know if you're walking along here that this is where a body was found. Knowing that she was here, it's really, it's really sad. It's really sad to find that a young woman in the prime of her life ends here, and just the callous way that she was dumped here and just discarded like a piece of rubbish and set on fire. The offender, or offenders, He's got no regard for any human life.
Sexual predators commonly use fire to destroy evidence. Rachelle's killer doused her body in unleaded petrol, seemingly determined to leave no trace.
Well, initially, accelerant would have really gone whooshka sort of thing, because it burns off very quickly, the petrol. It's got a high flash point. So, boom, it would have gone straight up and then would have diminished. To do that without getting injured, you'd have to use a match. You'd have to stand back and flick. You couldn't do it with a cigarette lighter because it'd just go boom. And often enough, you get the singes from it, particularly on the hands, on the face, eyelids and everything. From the arsonists that I've locked up have caught torch things, they've got some sort of secondary injury. You can tell them they've got their hands have been out, their follicles on their hands have been singed, and the hair and the eyebrows. Sometimes if it's enough. Why here? This is a whole why here. What is it? Just an opportunistic site somewhere off the side of the road? If you could have gone in another 100 metres, and you probably would have seen that flame from the road. Did something happen really here, really hard, really quick, and really fast?
Detectives have always believed Rachelle's killer had intended to hide her body. She was found naked from the waist down in the fetal position next to an in-ground concrete tank. The tank I went looking for with Ivor Davies, the first lead investigator. Remember when Ivor arrived at the scene in 2001, the tank's heavy concrete lid had been slightly pushed back, suggesting someone tried to open it. Here's Ivor from episode 1.
I think they went to great lengths to hide her body, but it didn't work out. So then it was just ad hocly done in haste, just they've had enough. They must have been driving around with the corpse in the body for, hours. And I just think that when this didn't pan out, they've had enough. We're not going to just put her here, torch her, get rid of the evidence, let's get out of Dodge. So just picture a concrete tank. I don't know how deep it was. It might have been maybe a metre and a half, but above the ground was maybe 300 to 400. And it had a concrete lid on it, thick, about 1.5 metres round, maybe a metre. So when you slid it off, which they did, to at least a quarter of the way, you can clearly see the gate valves, water junctions, everything was close to the surface. It wasn't like a 2 metre drop. So it was obviously, hey, we're not going to get the deceased in there. So I think in haste, they just dropped it into the shallow, put an accelerant over it and torched her.
Now Damian is in the same spot and mapping out the crime scene with me.
I think it was about here, probably. I think it was about here. I wonder if that could have been it, that hole there. It seemed to have been further in.
Yeah, but look. Well, it's been filled in. There should be some sort of lid or something other on top of it, maybe some concrete. So. Here it is. This is where the tank was.
Oh my gosh, that's it.
Here it is here.
Found it.
Yep, here it is. That's been covered in. It looks like the original concrete lid's been taken away, and this is like a hard plastic. Diameter's right, circular.
It's exactly the same size that Ivor explained.
Now here it is
right
here.
Here, so close to the road.
Here it is here. I can lift that up.
There's a rope.
Yep. I can lift that up.
Well, you're standing on it.
I can lift it up.
Mind? Be careful.
That's the valves that we're talking about.
Just got chills. So do you think the reason maybe the body wasn't placed in the tank was not that it couldn't fit?
Couldn't lift it.
Couldn't lift the lid?
Couldn't lift it. That's what probably is the more important question.
So now we're both thinking, what stopped the killer from hiding Rachelle's body in the tank? Was the lid too heavy? Was it impossible to do alone? We're going to explore the evidence in more detail later on, but if you'd like to see the tank now, visit dearrachelle.com.au for exclusive access to pictures, interactive evidence from the case, videos and more. What we do know is Rachelle was found beside the tank. Was burning her body plan B? Was it the work of someone acting alone? Before you hear eyewitness accounts from that rainy night on the Crooked River Road, which is also known as Gerroa Road, let's listen to part of a police press conference held by Detective Scott Cook in a cold case appeal.
We believe that Commodore may have travelled between Bargo and Gerroa, where she was found, on the evening that she went missing. We believe that the vehicle was driven by someone other than Rachelle. But what we really need to explore further at this time is where that car went. It was seen at the Bargo Hotel in the evening of the 7th, again on the 8th and again on the 9th, before it was recovered by police. And so we want to try and fill in where that vehicle was. We're particularly interested in whether the vehicle was at petrol stations. Rachelle was burned and there was accelerant, we believe to be petrol, all over the place.
You're going to hear about multiple sightings on different sides of the road. The tank is on the eastern side of Crooked River Road, near the beach, and directly opposite is the entrance to a quarry owned by Cleary brothers. The witnesses have given approximate times to police, allowing us to construct a timeline. But it's difficult to know the exact order in which the car switched from one side of the road to the other. It was rainy and dark. None of these witnesses could have predicted the enormity of what they were actually seeing driving through 7 Mile Beach that evening. The first suspicious sighting could have been as early as 10:20 on the Thursday night, 4 hours before Rachelle's burning body was discovered. These are actors voicing police summaries of their statements.
An Australian Navy air crewman by the name of David Brian Oxley was heading home from HMAS Albatross at Nowra. Driving north through 7 Mile Beach, he saw a car parked on the left verge of Gerroa Road facing north. He noticed the taillights were on. Mr. Oxley told police he'd owned Commodores and was familiar with the taillight configuration. He identified the vehicle as a dark blue, early model Commodore VB or VH. He didn't see anyone in or around the car.
That description sounds pretty similar to Rachelle's blue VB Commodore. Between 10:30 and 11 p.m, another witness drove past.
Driving north along Gerroa Road on June 7th, 2001, Robert James Wilson had just passed 7 Mile Beach Holiday Park when he saw a blue BC Holden Commodore in a car park area on the eastern side of the road, opposite the caravan park. He slowed down because he thought the car might belong to a friend. He couldn't see the front of the car but noticed the boot was open. He told police he saw 2 people, one with dark hair lying on the ground and another with sandy-coloured hair standing next to them.
Did Robert Wilson just see the killer standing beside Rachelle's body, just metres from the concrete tank? We know her body never made it inside the tank. This next sighting places the car on the other side of the road.
Between 10:30 and 11:40 p.m, Marie and Dallas Ackroyd were travelling home to Bomaderry when their attention was drawn to a dark older model parked car near the gate to the Cleary Brothers quarry. It stood out because it was late and isolated, and they remember seeing somebody slumped down in the driver's seat like they were trying to hide. Mrs. Ackroyd told police she believes the person was male and of a small build, but she couldn't be sure. Mr. Ackroyd remembers saying to his wife, "That seems strange." They didn't see any fire or smoke.
So by the time the Ackroyds travelled through, the car was on the opposite side of the road to the tank. That makes me wonder, what was the killer looking for? And why were they moving back and forth? All that movement is risky, suggesting they were becoming increasingly desperate and they needed to cover their tracks. Time was running out.
Around 12:30am, Jack Edmund had just finished work at a dairy farm. He was driving north on Gerroa Road when he spotted a small car parked near Cleary Brothers. Its high beams were on. He flashed his lights to get the driver to dim them, but nothing changed. He says his vision was impaired by the bright headlights. He didn't see anyone around, nor any smoke or fire.
15 minutes later, a business owner by the name of Gerard Haas was heading home from work. He owned the Caltex Star Mart in South Nowra. Mr. Haas told police he saw a parked car facing south on Gerroa Road with its high beams on. He didn't see anyone.
Then, around 2 a.m, for the first time, flames were seen in the area.
Shelley Hetherington was driving home late from work when she spotted a fire in the bush, travelling through Gerroa. She told police the flames were almost a metre high and purple and blue in colour. Shelley grew up on a farm and it looked like an accelerant-fuelled fire to her. Then, she saw a car with no headlights doing a U-turn in the middle of the road right in front of her. She described the car as an older model square-shaped vehicle, similar to an old Holden.
Did Shelley Hetherington almost collide with the killer fleeing the scene? Was the killer heading back to the Bargo Hotel to dump Rachelle's car? I'm stunned by how many close calls they had. There are no other known sightings of that car that evening. Just 15 minutes after Shelley saw those blue and purple flames, security guard Craig Duck spotted the fire, pulled his car off the road and discovered Rachelle's body next to the concrete tank. Rachelle's shoes, her handbag and her mobile phone, as well as a bedsheet she kept in her boot, were later found dumped at different locations, offering an insight into the killer's likely escape route. When police were looking for evidence, they canvassed various service stations for CCTV from Bargo to the south coast. But as you'll hear from Detective Scott Cook, some of those tapes were lost.
We're not sure whether they're missing. We may be able to still locate them. A lot of these matters from all around the state have been transferred and moved to different parts of the organisation and different police stations as they close and rebuild. And often exhibits, such as some of the tapes, get mixed up. So we're confident. We're still searching through the archives. There was a period in time when a lot of the exhibits from old unsolved matters were put in boxes and sent to archives.
But I've discovered police do have 2 segments of CCTV in their possession that detectives flagged suspicious. Now remember, an accelerant later confirmed to be unleaded petrol was used on Rachelle's body. And her blue Commodore was believed to have been driven to Gerroa, just over an hour away from Bargo. So police and Rachelle's family believe her car wouldn't have made it to the south coast without a pit stop.
Rachelle's parents said that the car was quite old and often had to be filled up with petrol every 20 minutes. You mentioned petrol stations already. Is there any CCTV or that sort of technology that you will now look back on?
Yes, any CCTV footage that we have and that we can locate will definitely be re-examined. There are new technologies around enhancement processes that may be available.
But police can't explain why the CCTV they do have that's been flagged has never been released to the public or even shown to Rachelle's family to see if anyone in that video recording is identifiable. It will go a long way to rule it in or out of the investigation. For the first time, you'll hear why these segments of CCTV were flagged. The first recording was captured at the South Nowra Caltex service station on the night Rachelle disappeared. These are the words written in the police log. 10:40 p.m, unknown blue VB-VH Commodore pass entrance to shop, parked near entrance, possible unknown female out of car, blonde hair, dark top, light slacks. Then 3 minutes later, same female in shop, motor vehicle parked same position, female has handbag over right shoulder. The car is observed at the petrol station for another 7 minutes. Then at 10:50 p.m, the log says, Commodore blue in front of shop reversing back, appears to be a male in front passenger side. The petrol station that captured this security video is only a 25-minute drive from where Rachelle's body was set alight 3 hours later. The second piece of CCTV was from a different petrol station nearby, the East Nowra Mobile service station on the same night, just a little later. The police log reads, 11:45, unknown Commodore, dark colour, 2 males. Driver fills up. Passenger into shop, then driver. Vehicle lights stayed on, blocking rego plate whilst filling up. 2 minutes later, the mystery men in a similar car to Rachelle's drive off into the night. You have to wonder, was it an accident the car's headlights were left on? Or was it a deliberate attempt to disguise the Commodore's number plate? Now, this was recorded about 2 hours before Rachelle was found just 19 kilometres away. Damian and I are mulling over the witness statements. While we're at 7 Mile Beach, Damian wants to have a look at the location where Jodie Fesus was discovered 4 years before Rachelle.
I'm just going to follow the track down here. It's a bit eerie, isn't it?
Rachelle was within 360 metres of where Jodie Fesus' body was located. And it's not uncommon for these things to occur in an investigation, to throw off the investigators and put them on a different tangent for their investigation. And it's done on purpose so that the heat would come off you if you're involved in this homicide, that you deflect any questionable conduct that you've been involved in or any suggestion that you may have been involved. And that's what they do. And it's not out of the ordinary that these things do happen, because they do happen.
It would take 20 years for Jodie's murder to be solved. In 2017, her husband, Stephen Frank Fesus, was found guilty of the 18-year-old's murder.
It has taken far too long to make Stephen Fesus pay for his crime, and his victim's family can hardly believe the battle is finally over. The cruel, heartless and savage killer jailed for at least 16 and a half years for strangling Jodie Fesus, his 18-year-old wife of just 3 months, in their Illawarra lounge room, burying her body in a shallow grave at 7 Mile Beach and claiming she had simply disappeared.
Back in 2001, Jodie's killer hadn't been caught. So as you'd expect, the prime suspect, her husband, Stephen Fesus, was investigated over Rachelle's murder. He would give evidence at Rachelle's inquest, where he demonstrated he could prove he was working at a Wollongong club as a security guard on the night Rachelle was killed. Was the fact Rachelle's body was placed so close to the spot where Jodie was buried a coincidence? Or was this done intentionally? Damian has a theory.
It's a smart thinking, because you've got an unsolved homicide already, so you put another body within that 300 to 500 metres. And people are going to be saying, we've got a serial killer on the loose, where in fact they're 2 separate homicides altogether.
Police at the time did quash the serial killer theory, but don't underestimate how many police resources it would take to get to that point. So is Stephen Fesus ruled out by police and Sash no longer a person of interest? The list of POIs is narrowing.
Oh, go, Hunt, go! Shit. It's got to be soon. Shane will get him up the top of here. Yeah! Go, Hun! Go! Yes! Go!
Rachelle treasured her Holden, and she had big plans for doing it up. She was saving up to paint it cherry red. But after her murder, it was seized for forensic testing. There's a story behind how Kristy got it back.
So the police had it for 10 years out in Marullan, and they said that we could have it back. Did we want it back? Mum and Dad didn't want it, but I wanted it. So Dad, because I was broke, Dad put new tyres on it and got it transported up to my father-in-law's house at the time, because he had property. So we had it at his house for a little while. It got moved around a couple of times until I moved in the New England region, and I've got 100 acres up there. Then it just sat in my shed, and still it's sitting in my shed. So I've got it, but it's not in good nick. They kept it out in the elements, which really annoyed me because the paint was peeling off it. It's very rusty now, and it wasn't. It was in mint condition when they took it. I haven't done anything with it because I look at it and go, well, what happened to you in that car? Were you killed in that car? Were you dead in that car? but I don't think I'm ever going to know. So I would like it to be like a tribute car for her. I'm very sentimental with things.
Kristy takes the Holden to her old friend and mechanic Ben Hill. She's keen to know what it will take to turn it into the ride Rachelle had always dreamed of.
This is the most original barn find I've ever fucking seen. Yeah, you've taken to the top of the totem pole. Yeah, there's some real wild shit going on in there. There's been a rat orgy going on for about 12 years. I was expecting one thing, but you've topped it.
Well, it honestly came to me looking like this from the pound lot, and it's just been sitting in the bed. So the whole rats living in it, that's me. But before that, sitting out in the middle of nowhere, they strip bits out of it.
Underneath, whole car, get a bucket and suds, wash it, and stand back, get everything out of the boot, punch the rubber bungs out, turning the boot out, seats out of it, harp it out, I call it delousing, delouse the whole car.
Yeah.
Wash it.
Definitely.
Amazing what a little bit of shine does. And then that's the starting point, you know what I mean? You've unwrapped the package, then it's basically engine box out, tail shaft out. Brakes can be rebuilt, engines can be rebuilt, gearboxes, all of that stuff.
But it's just getting the body right.
Fuck, it's the cost and the rust. Once you get the shit off it, it's amazing. All your cars here all the time like that. And it's like, that's cool, you can see it. I can see the bare bones under the shit. Once you clean the shit off, you're okay, I know what I'm starting with.
Yeah.
But it's a big job.
Yes!
She wanted to be a racing car driver, seriously. And I remember when I first went out to the dealership that she worked, and just watching her put all the cars back in and the way she reversed with one hand, and she was amazing. She was very good. I didn't know where she was going to head. She started off at working for the MacArthur Advertiser, and then she got the position then at Camden Holden. Kristy had gone to uni to do teaching, and she regretted not going somewhere and getting something done. She said, but I would like to drive, love to drive racing cars. I said, if that's what you want to do, then... But it never got that far.
Now we have one of the members of Brocky's team. Yep. And the other. And me.
Hey, Brocky.
Who was her idol?
Oh, Brocky. Number 5.
Here we come.
Starling plays tailgating all the way.
Yep, stay in the draft, hun.
Did she meet him? Do you have a memory of her meeting him? Because I know there's that really iconic photo of them together.
Oh, she loved him. A gift or something she received was someone to go and meet him. I know she went and she did a race around a track. Yeah, she kicked butt, but she's a very happy girl.
Rachelle lived and breathed cars, and she was a rising sales star at Camden Holden. She was passionate about the job. And of course, it didn't hurt she was a beautiful blonde in a male-dominated industry.
My name's Jim Morrison. I was the general manager of the Camden Holden dealership for 4 years. I started at the dealership when Rachelle had already started as a junior salesperson.
What was Rachelle like to work with? Did she love her job?
Yeah, she always seemed enthusiastic, yeah. Always pleasant. She was on the up, I suppose you want to say. She was never miserable or depressed or anything like that. She used to spend a fair bit of time in reception talking to Fiona. I'd probably chipped them both a couple of times about spending too much time, either, gee, Rachelle, Fiona's got cars to register, or gee, Fiona, Rachelle can't keep an eye on the yard while she's in here talking to you. And that's just a management thing. At the same time, it wasn't a dictatorial type atmosphere, so I wouldn't do that every single time they're talking. It might be one time out of 10, because I tried to garner just a happy, friendly environment.
Who was Rachelle working with, and how would you describe the relationships she had with her colleagues?
Okay, the manager of the used cars was a fellow by the name of Kevin Carell.
I had worked with Kevin previously in another dealership. He was only there a very short time, maybe 1 or 2 months by memory. I don't know a lot of people that know much about him, but I was actually away on a business trip. A fellow I was on the trip with, who had worked with Kevin previously. I just mentioned, "Oh, did you know Kevin Carrill from your time where you are?" And he said, "Yeah, just careful when you shake his hand. You might want to check how many fingers you've got. Make sure he hasn't stolen any." I thought, okay, that's a bit of an odd comment. I'll be a little bit guarded.
After Rachelle's death, in your statement to police, you said you came across some inconsistencies in a customer's paperwork. What were they?
Something to do with the repair that was supposed to have been done prior to delivery, if my memory is right. And he spoke of it being documented on the contract. I've said, "Well, look, I'll call you back. I've gone to find the file, copy of the contract," and it had no record of what he was talking about. I then contacted the customer back to say, "Look, I need to see your copy of the contract, please. Do you mind if I come out and visit you?" Which I did. And I was seeing the deposit amounts on one contract and not on another against the same vehicle. And that's when the penny dropped that there was something underhanded going on. So we just had to take that to the detectives. It was black and white.
It's worth noting all staff at Camden Holden deny any involvement in defrauding the company, and nobody was ever charged.
So you uncovered a fraud scandal?
Essentially, yeah. I would doubt that Rachelle would have been a party to it. I don't think. She was just too honest and upfront. I couldn't believe she would be actively involved in something like that.
Do you think she could have stumbled upon it and was going to expose someone potentially?
It's possible, and that was something that was put to the detectives. Yeah.
And that would have left her in danger potentially?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the next episode of Dear Rachelle.
I remember staring at him at the funeral and he wouldn't look at me.
Did you ever think, is the killer in this church?
Yep.
Do you think he was?
I do.
He's another one who's certainly of interest where he's got some sort of romantic connections with Rachelle.
I don't know, he just always gave me a bad vibe. I just didn't like him.
How critical do you think the Walkinshaw is in this puzzle?
Well, if it's used as a ploy to lure you somewhere, then it is very significant.
Dear Rachelle is a multimedia production from True Crime Australia. If you want to be the first to find out what happens next, go to dearrachelle.com.au. That's where News Corp Australia subscribers get early access to podcast episodes and breaking news in our live investigation before anybody else. And you'll also find exclusive videos, interactive evidence, feature articles and more. That's dearrachelle.com.au. dearrachelle.com.au. If you have any tips or confidential information to share with me, Ashlea Hansen, please send an email to dearrachelle@news.com.au. Our supervising producer and audio editor is Reese Gunter. Rachel Fountain is executive producer and audio director. Our executive editor is Sarah Blake. Our senior journalist is Patrick Carline. Video editors are Gillian McNally, Owen Yang and Stephen Woods. Picture editors are Jeff Darmanin and Kristy Miller. Senior camera operators are Daniel Andrews and Oscar Vieira, with sound design by Martin Peralta. Thanks also to Greg Thompson, Eleni Pineras, Shoba Rayo, Faye Gould, Vanessa Graham, Hayley Goddard, Stephen Grice, Charlotte Karp, Tina Coggins and Harry Hughes. Special thanks to the Daily Telegraph editor Ben English. And Dear Rachelle would not be possible without the help and unwavering support of Kristy and Anne Childs, Mindy Wicks, Damian Loone and Rachelle's friends. This podcast series is hosted and investigated by me, Ashlea Hansen.